The kitchen was dark, illuminated only by the blue light of a smartphone screen and the tiny, glowing indicator on the coffee maker. It was 4:30 on a Tuesday morning, and the house was silent except for the low hum of the refrigerator. In the hallway, a half-packed gym bag sat exactly where it had been dropped 3 days ago, a physical marker of an intention that had been overruled by a mountain of paperwork. Mariam Santos stood by the counter, scrolling through a 40-page deposition summary, her thumb moving with a mechanical, joyless precision. She had not slept more than 5 hours a night in 6 months, but the fatigue was no longer the primary issue. The issue was the invisible, creeping erasure of her personal identity. She was a mother, a partner, and a friend, but those roles had been relegated to the status of pending tasks that she never quite got around to completing. On the screen was a calendar reminder for a school play happening in 4 hours, an event she already knew she would miss because a discovery deadline had shifted. This was the silent, brutal reality of the solo legal practitioner who has achieved technical success at the cost of human viability. Mariam was earning a respectable $95,000 a year, but she was paying for it with the only currency that truly matters: time she would never get back. This is a case study in how that trade was renegotiated. It is the story of how a solo attorney moved from a 60-hour work week to a 32-hour work week without losing a single dollar of income, not by working harder, but by building an AI-powered legal infrastructure that collapsed the non-billable grind entirely. To understand the depth of Mariam's burnout, one must first look at the structural inefficiency of the traditional solo law practice. Before her transformation, Mariam Santos was caught in a mathematical trap that most legal professionals accept as an unavoidable condition of the work. She was a competent, sought-after attorney, but for every hour she could actually bill to a client, she was forced to spend at least 2 hours on what she called shadow practice. This was the non-billable administrative and preparatory labor that kept the lights on but generated no revenue. A typical Wednesday began not with legal strategy, but with 3 hours of manual document preparation, scanning files, cross-referencing case law, and drafting routine motions from static templates. By the time she actually opened a billable file, her cognitive energy was already significantly depleted. She was an expert in the law, yet she spent the majority of her day functioning as a high-level data entry clerk and a researcher. The emotional toll was a state of permanent low-grade resentment. She loved the law, but she had come to dread the practice of it. She felt like a person running a marathon while carrying an impossible load, watching peers in larger firms delegate these tasks to paralegals and support staff that she simply could not afford to hire. The solo model had promised independence, but for Mariam, it had delivered a different kind of confinement, one where she was both the architect and the prisoner of her own workload. The problem transitioned from a professional frustration to a personal crisis during a weekend that was supposed to be a family vacation. Mariam spent the entire 3-day trip in the hotel lobby, her laptop balanced on her knees, responding to client emails and monitoring a court docket that refused to pause for her life. She watched through the glass doors as her family spent time together, realizing that she was physically present but fundamentally absent. The threat was no longer just professional exhaustion. It was the gradual dissolution of her most important relationships. She realized that she was billing enough to earn $95,000, but after subtracting the cost of her missed memories and her declining health, the real return on that income was deeply negative. The consequence of her success was a life that felt like a series of missed appointments. She reached an existential point where she understood that if she did not change the ratio of her work, she would eventually lose everything the work was supposed to provide. She did not want more money. She wanted her Friday nights back. She did not want more clients. She wanted to be able to look at a school calendar without feeling a sense of impending failure. She realized that the legal profession's obsession with billable hours was a flawed metric that rewarded inefficiency and punished the human being behind the practice. She decided she would either find a way to collapse her non-billable workload by 80%, or she would walk away from the law entirely. The discovery of a new model began when Mariam stopped looking for a virtual assistant and started looking for a technical leverage point. She realized that nearly all of her non-billable time was concentrated in 3 specific categories: research, drafting, and coordination. She spent 6 weeks of her limited free time building an integrated AI workflow designed to function as a digital paralegal. Her first breakthrough was in AI-assisted legal research and case law summarization. Instead of spending 10 hours manually searching databases and reading through hundreds of pages of tangentially relevant opinions, she built a protocol using specialized legal models that could ingest a specific fact pattern and return a summarized brief of the most relevant precedents in seconds. The first time she used it on a real case, it identified a nuanced precedent she had missed during 3 hours of manual searching. She then moved to automated document drafting and contract generation, replacing her static templates with a dynamic system that used generative AI to produce initial versions of complex documents based on a defined set of client parameters. She was not asking the machine to be the lawyer. She was asking it to be the first draft. The trial and error process was demanding. Her early automated outputs were too generic, which taught her that she had to prime the system with her own past successful filings to ensure the tone and legal strategy remained entirely hers. She was no longer starting from a blank page. She was starting at the 70% mark of every task. The transformation of Mariam's practice occurred when she extended the AI into the client-facing and administrative layers of her business. She implemented an AI-powered client intake and communication system that functioned as a 24-hour receptionist, vetting new inquiries, answering routine status questions from existing clients, and scheduling meetings based on her specific availability. She then integrated an intelligent deadline and docket tracking engine that monitored court filings in real time, automatically updating her calendar and generating preparation reminders 2 weeks before every critical date. The final piece of the infrastructure was an automated billing and invoice generation system that tracked her work in the background, eliminating the 4 hours of manual data entry she had spent every Sunday night for years. A specific moment of clarity came 4 months into this shift. Mariam was in her office on a Thursday afternoon, completing her final billable task of the week. She looked at her dashboard and realized that for the first time in her career she was completely caught up. There were no shadow tasks waiting, no administrative backlog, no emails marked urgent from 2 days ago. She closed her laptop, walked out of her office at 4 in the afternoon, and felt a strange, almost unfamiliar sensation, the feeling of a life that was finally hers to direct. The results of this transition were a complete reclamation of her personal time without a single cent of lost revenue. Mariam maintained her $95,000 annual income, but the hours required to earn it dropped from 60 per week to 32. She moved to a 4-day work week, keeping her office closed every Friday. The human turning point came 3 weeks after the new schedule took effect. For the first time in over 2 years, Mariam attended her daughter's school talent show. She was not checking her phone in the back row. She was not mentally drafting a motion. She was simply there, watching her daughter perform, feeling a quality of presence that had been absent from her life for years. Her practice had become a tool that supported her life rather than a presence that consumed it. Her clients did not notice she was working fewer hours. They commented that she seemed more responsive and more focused than at any point in their working relationship, a direct result of the mental clarity that comes from being adequately rested. Her professional reputation grew because the quality of her legal judgment had improved. She had engineered a practice where the financial rewards of her career were finally decoupled from the physical and emotional cost of earning them. The lessons from Mariam Santis's practice serve as a clear roadmap for the future of the legal profession and any service-based career built on the exchange of time for income. The hard truth for the next decade is that the legal professionals who will define the industry are not the ones who bill the most hours, but the ones who have engineered their practice to deliver maximum value in minimum time. In the 2026 economy, the billable hour is becoming a legacy metric that fails to capture the true efficiency of an automated practice. To survive and grow as a solo attorney, you must stop being a worker inside your business and start being the architect of your workflow. Your value lies in your high-level legal judgment, while the shadow work of research, drafting, and administration is a candidate for the machine. Mariam did not win by pushing harder or sacrificing more. She won by refusing to accept that her life was a reasonable price for her income. The question you have to ask yourself today is the most important one of your professional life. If you could earn the same income in half the time, what would you do with the other half? Would you know who you are without the work? The answer to that question is the difference between a successful professional and a fulfilled person. We want to hear from you in the comments. What is the one personal event you have missed in the last year because of your workload, and what would it take to make sure you never miss it again? Let us discuss how to reclaim your time through AI-driven practice automation in the comments below. For a deeper look at the specific case law summarization protocols and document drafting workflows Mariam used to build her 4-day week, watch our next video on the automated law practice.